you guys, how is it going? I hope you're having an awesome day. For me though, I am filming this in the evening, so if you're watching this in the evening, how are you doing? How's the evening going? I'm having a lot of fun. I am jamming to some Confessions on the Dance Floor by Madonna. I'm really excited because I'm going on my Madonna journey. As you probably know, I'm listening to her whole discography for the very first time. And I just listened to American Life, and now I have made it to the Confessions on the Dance Floor era, which I already did a first listen on this album already. It was my second Madonna album that I listened to in full. The first one was Madame X. And I had so much fun listening to that record, Madame X, because it was my very first Madonna record ever that I listened to in full. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to check out more Madonna. So I decided to check out one of her more famous records, one of her more notable records, which was Confessions on the Dance Floor. And then after that, I was done for. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning to where it started. So I went all the way back to 1983, her self-titled record, Madonna. And then from there on out, I gradually went from each album to each album in succession. So I went from her debut to her second album, which was Like a Virgin, and then True Blue, and then so on and so forth. And I always knew that I was going to go back to this record. I wanted a bit of a refresher, and when I first listened to this record for the first time, again, I hadn't listened to much Madonna at the time, and that was my introduction to her, Confessions on a Dance Floor and Madame X. And then now that I've kind of listened to a lot of her discography already, her discography through the 80s and 90s, I have a better understanding of Madonna and who she is as an artist, and her lyrics and her melodies. I feel like after listening to her whole discography up until now and comparing it to when I first listened to this album before going on my Madonna journey, I can now kind of gain a little bit more perspective on this record and understand where she's coming from and where she was in the 80s and 90s, and now this new dance revolution that she's experiencing with her music that kind of started with Ray of Light and then Music and then American Life, and now she has gone total dance and club and EDM with Confessions on the Dance Floor, and now I can gain some new perspective on this record now that I understand where she came from. So I opened up this video with some remixes. I didn't want to listen to the album versions of these tracks because I already did for my first listen video for Confessions. So the remixes I listened to, you can find on Apple Music for Hung Up. It is the Tracy Young's Get Up and Dance Groove Edit, Sorry, the PSB Maxi Mix, Get Together, the Jacques Lucat Mix, I Love New York, Thin White Duke Remix, and Jump, the Jacques Lucat Mix. So those are the remixes you can find on Apple Music. I don't know if you can find them on Spotify or what have you. So some of my impressions have changed on this record. For the better, I will say. Hung Up is still a total bop. I love it. Sorry is still one of my favorite Madonna songs ever. It was probably my favorite Madonna track before I listened to her discography for the first time. Now that I listened to her discography for the first time, it's not my favorite Madonna song, but it's still very high up on the list. It's a total bop. Sorry, to me, it's the best song on the record. And Get Together isn't one of my favorite tracks on the record. And I Love New York, it's definitely one of my favorite tracks on the record. I love it. I love the lyrics. They're a lot of fun. Jump, one of my favorite tracks on the record. I love it. Every time I hear the song, I think of the film The Devil Wears Prada. So those are those tracks, and now I'm going to delve into the other tracks on this record, which I couldn't find remixes for, so I'll just be listening to the album versions for you guys.
In the demonstration of this evidence. Now I could tell you about the place I've been on.
Future Lovers is definitely one of my favorite tracks on the record. Once again, I feel like I said that about mostly every song on here so far. But that's just a testament to how good this record is. And I mean, I've read some of your Madonna ranking lists, and I've seen them here and there on the internet and in my comments and just general discussions you guys have been having. And some of you find Confessions to be a little overrated. You know, when people talk about Madonna, they're always like, Confessions on a Dance Floor, Confessions, Confessions, Ray of Light, Confessions, Ray of Light. And some of you find Confessions on a Dance Floor overrated and not as good as people are making it out to be, which is fair. Everyone has their own opinions when it comes to not just Madonna's discography, but anybody's discography. Each album is going to resonate differently with different people. Like myself, I didn't really care for Bedtime Stories, but a lot of you find it to be one of Madonna's best. And American Life, I was surprised that a lot of you think American Life is one of her best records, and a lot of you had chosen it as one of your favorite Madonna records, if not your favorite Madonna record, which I was a little surprised by. Not to say that American Life is bad, I still enjoyed American Life, but to me, it's probably near the bottom of her best work. And Let It Will Be. So, from what I recall, I actually hadn't watched my first listen of Confessions on a Dance Floor since uploading it, but from what I recall, I don't think I was the biggest fan of Let It Will Be. And I'm still not the biggest fan of that track. Since uploading that video, I know a lot of you like this track, but to me, it's not one of my favorites. I'll listen to it, but it's probably near the bottom when it comes to my favorite tracks on Confessions on a Dance Floor.
Just one kiss on my lips was all it took to seal the future. It's funny, I spent my whole life wanting to be talked about. How high are the stakes? How much fortune can it make? How high are the stakes? How much fortune can it make?
Interesting. I'm actually reading the lyrics to How High, and she's saying, it's funny, I spent my whole life wanting to be talked about. I did it, just about everything to see my name in lights. Was it all worth it? And how did I earn it? Nobody's perfect. I guess I deserved it. And this has a whole new meaning to me. If I read the lyrics to the song before going on her discography, which I didn't, I wouldn't have really thought anything of it. I knew Madonna was a controversial artist back in the day, but after listening to her whole discography and each and every song and reading your guys' comments, this lyric in particular has a whole new meaning for me. It's funny, I spent my whole life wanting to be talked about. I did it. I mean, that obviously goes back to her early 90s days, like Erotica, Like a Prayer, and how controversial that time period in her life was. And everything she was going through and the backlash and what have you. It's just interesting reading this lyric now in hindsight after listening to all of her prior work. Just little tidbits of information I'm picking up, and little tidbits of information I'm still going to pick up after listening to all her records again for the second and third and fourth time. So just really interesting. How High, I remember, from what I recall, I actually remember praising this song, How High, when I first listened to it. I think I said it was one of my favorites or what have you. I will say How High is now probably one of my least favorite tracks on the record. And Forbidden Love, I remember, from what I recall in my first listen for Confessions, I wasn't the biggest fan of Forbidden Love. I think I thought it was okay, but now I love this song. I am obsessed with this song. I absolutely love it. Every time I pull up Confessions on a Dance Floor on my Apple Music, this is one of the tracks I always go to. Just, it's such a beautiful song. It's so euphoric. It just takes me somewhere else, and I love it. Yes, I love it so much. Isaac is one of the top songs on the record for me, and this is one of the tracks I always go back to repeatedly when I pull up Confessions on the Dance Floor. I'm obsessed with this song after listening to this record for the first time. I think I was indifferent to the song initially. I liked it, I just wasn't sure. But after listening to it a few more times, I became obsessed with the song. You have no idea. This song was on repeat continuously wherever I went. I was obsessed with it. I still am. To me, it's one of the highlights on the record. I can't get enough of it. I absolutely love it. I love dancing to it. Once again, it just takes me somewhere else whenever I listen to it, and I love it. Ugh. One thing I also didn't get a full grasp on when I first listened to this record was I don't know if I'm using the best terminology here, but I'm picking up a lot of East Indian influences in the music, and that was something I didn't really pick up on when I first listened to this record. In particular, Isaac, but I feel like a lot of these songs have some sort of Middle Eastern influences in it.
Push me when it's difficult to smile. You push me a better version of myself. Every piece I win, every mood I'm in, everything I do, I owe it all to you. I'll be the garden, you'll be the snake. All of my fruit is yours to take. This is who I am. You can like it or not. You can love me or leave me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop, no.
I will say Push is still my least favorite track on the record. And Like It or Not, I feel like It or Not has grown on me. I like it more than when I first listened to it, but it's still not one of my favorite tracks on the record. So that is that. That is me revisiting Confessions on a Dance Floor. To me, one of my favorite Madonna records. And I just enjoy it so much. What was it like to go from music to American Life and now Confessions on the Dance Floor? What was it like to listen to this record for the first time in 2005? If you were with Madonna since the very beginning in the 80s and 90s, what was it like to listen to this record? Were you a fan of it? Were you not a fan of it? It's very fascinating to me to hear from you guys who grew up with her, to learn about the progression in her career and her musical styles, and just to hear from the fans what it was like to watch her go through these different phases and these different eras of discovery. What were the critics saying? Did they approve of this new musical direction that she was taking? I imagine they must have, because this is one of her more critically acclaimed albums. This is a fan favorite. And was this the beginning stages of dance pop that we would experience in the late 2000s to early 2010s, leading up to Lady Gaga's The Fame, and Kesha, and Katy Perry, and all of that, David Guetta? Was this kind of the OG album that would set forth the new EDM dance craze that we experienced when I was in high school? I remember my high school graduation, my skip day party, my safe grad, Rihanna's Take a Bow, and what else was there? There was Metro Station, 17 Forever. I don't know if you heard of them. Disturbia, Chris Brown's Forever. Oh, just memories right now. Lady Gaga's Poker Face, Katy Perry's I Kiss a Girl. I mean, good memories right there. But back to Confessions, what was it like to listen to this album for the first time in 2005? Leave your input, leave your comments. I'm very curious to know. And here's to Hard Candy and MDMA and Rebel Heart, the last three records I've yet to listen to Madonna. And I'm sad because, it's coming to a close, my Madonna journey, and I don't want it to end, but it has to end. But my reactions to all her music videos will be coming in the near future, so oh my god. That's gonna be a whole other journey. Okay, enough talking. Bye guys, have a nice evening, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.